can see you there.
Hello dolls, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to sew some 1960s inspired shorts. I'm entering my 8th month of pregnancy and nothing fits me anymore, so I really want to make myself some shorts. I can still wear dresses like this, but I really love the 1960s short look. Now you have to understand, with the 60s, a lot of people didn't really wear maternity wear. It wasn't a thing because pregnancy wasn't as openly discussed as it is nowadays. A lot of women, when they were pregnant, they weren't accentuating their bump or anything, and they didn't really, at least in the beginning of the decade, go out that much. But I really want to make some shorts that work for me, and I also am going to make these off of a pattern that works whether you're pregnant or not. It's just like a more comfortable approach to the 1960s short. I'm gonna go off of these. I got these gifted by the Belated Beatnik. I absolutely adore them. I think that they're so sweet with the little gingham print. And the great thing about these is I'm gonna put up pictures of me wearing these not pregnant, because they work well whether you're pregnant or not. When I'm not pregnant, I actually like to wear them with a belt or something, and then now that I'm pregnant, I just wear them as they are. But they're made from a really nice cotton, and I want to replicate this cut with denim. And then I also want to have like a little apple patch that I'm gonna try to sew myself and then apply and then kind of like sew on top myself. And I only have a regular sewing machine, and I think I found a way to make patches and apply them on top of the fabric without needing some special tool or anything. So we're gonna see whether that works. It is super hot. It's the middle of summer. It's only 9 a.m. but it's just been so hot these past couple of days, which is why I'm down here in my kind of like main area. We're gonna sew over at the kitchen table because I don't want to go upstairs. It's just too hot there right now. So let me try these on, and then I'll show you what I like about them, and then we can create a pattern ourselves going off of this. Okay, so this is what the shorts look like right now. So they're just really nice and stretchy up here. There's a lot of room, so I think I'm just gonna go with this size. I think that'll work for me, and I also like the inseam length. I feel like this works really well for like a 60s look. I also love to wear them just under dresses because they kind of just hide away. So if you're looking for a way to sew some sort of bloomers to go with your micro mini skirts and dresses, this is also for you. These are made in a really, really easy way, and I want to replicate that because I think it is brilliant. It's 2 pieces, this side and that side, and 1 elastic band, and that is it. I brought you over to the kitchen area and the big desk where we're gonna make this happen. I'm gonna start by just laying these down flat, and I want to take a look at the seams here. I'm gonna give you a little close-up too, but basically these are classically stitched, and then to prevent the edges from fraying, there's just a regular zigzag stitch in use. So I'm gonna go with that as well. And I think the easiest way to go about this, which I just want to say, I don't have any credentials doing this. I'm not professionally trained or anything, and you will definitely see that in a second. And I also just realized that I'm out of parchment paper, so I need to find another way to do this. And I'm wondering whether I can just use this denim and like fold it and kind of like do an overlay almost. There's a lot of fabric here. I went with like a semi-thick denim, and I went with this really bright blue color because I feel like this is very classic for like a 1960s look. I also didn't want like a thick heavy denim, which is something that I love in pants, but not particularly for the summer heat. We are caught in like a huge heat wave here, and I just want to be as comfortable as possible. Yeah, I can fit those here, so I'm gonna go with kind of like this, and I think the easiest way to do this is if I just use pins to attach this here. And then I'm seeing that the front is a little deeper cut, like the waistline sits a little deeper than it does in the back, and I'm not too sure whether I'm gonna adapt that or not, but it's really easy. You just kind of like cut on a little bit of an angle here. Okay, so let me get this pinned on here, and then we can start cutting. So as you can see, this is like the way it is stitched, and then there's the little zigzag. So I'm just gonna leave a little bit of room also up here and then obviously down there because you just want some extra fabric in those areas.
Be afraid, this love will never go away. Every time we touch, every time that you look in my eyes, you will know what it's like to be loved.
So I have it traced and pinned in place. I kind of like folded the shorts in half so that I was able to create a pattern off of them. And I think the one thing that is important if you're going off of a pair of shorts that has an elastic waistband is to account for the elastic basically. So I'm gonna make it as wide at the waistband as it is down here, like a little further down the belly, because I just want it to be in one line basically, because the fact that it is smaller up here obviously comes from the elastic waistband. I'm gonna leave this extra bit of fabric up here so that I have enough for like a nice little waistband. And then I'm also gonna account for pretty much the same amount down here. So let's see how much that is. So I have about 6 centimeters up here. So I think I'll just go with that down here as well. And then on the inside, which is basically the part that's going to be on your stomach and on your back, I'm not going to add that much, just a little bit basically, so that I have a little bit of extra room to sew. So I'm going to do 2 things now. I'm going to trace the pants and then I'm going to make another line about 6 centimeters away and about like 2 centimeters on the inside to just account for the extra fabric that I'm going to need, because you don't want to cut your pieces too small. You can always cut off a little more, but once it is too small, there's no way to fix it. Okay, moment of truth, let's cut it. I'm a little nervous, but it's gonna be okay. I feel like cutting is always the part that freaks me out the most. But I did my measurements, I'm all good to go. Let's do it. So I have cut the first piece and then I laid that down on my other fabric to do the second side. And the one thing, the biggest tip that I have for you when you're cutting double laid fabric is to pin it, like pin it within itself so that it doesn't slip, because otherwise, I personally think denim is quite easy to work with, but if you're working on something that is silk or just like a lighter material, it might kind of like move and then it is so hard to get the right cut. So I traced it and now I'm gonna take that off and cut it. Yeah, that is looking pretty good. Also, if you hear water splashing in the back, it's my dishwasher. We have such a loud dishwasher, but at least it's doing the work for me and I'm not mad about it. All right, before I cut through, I'm just gonna pin it in all the areas that I now know are kind of like in critical places, like especially around the edges. I like to add a couple more pins and then I'll cut it. I tried cutting it with my old fabric scissors. Like basically all of my sewing supplies besides my sewing machine, which I got for my 13th birthday or something, are from my grandma. And she had 2 pairs of fabric scissors, or from my great-grandfather, not related to that grandma though. He was an upholsterer and like carpenter. So she has these and I really like them for like more delicate things. However, they don't stand a chance with this fabric, and I'm assuming that like sometime later she probably bought those, and these work really well for like a thicker, heavier fabric. So I'm gonna go with those now. A couple years ago, I really wanted to become like a professional seamstress. I could have seen myself doing that, and I still can, but it is really hard to get into that field and kind of like study that, I guess. So I'll have to see if I can ever make that happen. But I would love to. I know that I'm not doing this the proper way, and that like you should measure, you should do all the things, create a pattern and everything, but this just works for me, and I'm not selling these or anything. I'm just gonna keep them for myself. So if you do something the way that I do, which basically means you have a piece of clothing and you don't want to take it apart to make a pattern off of it, and you don't have parchment paper, which that is honestly the stupid part. I should have gotten just some. But one more tip that I have is, if you have drawn out like on one side what the actual shape of the garment is, and then obviously you cut it bigger because you want some excess fabric, and now you want to trace it to the other side, my biggest tip is to kind of like line it, go along the lines with pins, and then if you turn it around, you can just see where the line's supposed to go. I'm gonna give you a little close-up and show this. As said, this is probably not the proper way, or I'm sure it's not the proper way to do it. I'm just saying, if you want a quick and easy solution to something like this, and especially if you're making something like these shorts, which are going to be quite forgiving, go with this. It just saves you a lot of time. So you can see that I kind of like created these lines because I put the pins exactly along the lines, and you will get like a little bump where the head is, but I just leave that out and just kind of like go with a line that is more like this, and part it, because you can always fill it in later. Especially, I always make sure to mark the edges and like the corners really well. See, I'm like adding my lines in between the pins, and then when I take them out, I can just fill in the lines.
On through the winter that is near, my dear, it's coming through. Love is strong, it will keep us warm throughout the storm that's coming on. I will wait, I will wait with you.
Okay, so I have this big piece of fabric now, which is going to be one side. It's all cut and all marked. I don't know if you can see the marks from that far away, but I showed you in the close-up. And now I'm going to take this apart because this still has all the pins, and then basically do the same thing that I just did with transferring this side to this side. I'm going to pin this on that, and then with like marking the needles, I'm going to get that pattern onto this piece of fabric, and then I'm going to pin everything in place, and we'll see if it lines up. But I have a good feeling about this. Let's see, if we put this together, it should line up now. Yeah, I mean, these are identical. That is pretty good. So something is at least going right. Okay, I just want to make sure that these lines here, you could iron your fabric. This is like the classic way to do it, but I actually like to use the dents that are made from the fabric laying around for a while. I just got this at like a regular fabric shop in a town nearby, because I can use that as the mark for the side part of my pants. So it helps kind of like aligning these up. Okay. Now let's trace it. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did before. Make sure it's nice and flat. Add a couple of pins in like random places just to make sure that the fabric doesn't move. As said, this pattern is pretty forgiving, but I'm also trying to get my hands on a couple of vintage maternity sewing patterns. And when I'm like following an actual pattern and like going for a more structured piece, I'm not doing it like this. I know how to sew. I just want to say that, because otherwise my great-grandfather who taught me would have been a little mad, I think. But on the other hand, my great-grandfather also always said that if you know what you're doing, you can do shortcuts. And so I really hope this is gonna work out.
I will wait, I will wait.
Okay, I'm on the last step before sewing these pieces together. So I'm just pinning them, and then I'm gonna sew both sides together. And when I say sides, I mean the seams that are now on the outside of what I cut and what I have here, which are going to be these seams. I'm so excited to finally sew. I love sewing, but there's a lot of prep that goes into it. And it's important to do that, I get it, because you want to have like a good result, but I'm impatient. So I was just contemplating whether I should do the front and the back seam first, or the one that's gonna be like down your crotch, but I'm gonna do the front and the back first. So I'm only gonna sew until here so that I have like the general shape of the shorts, and then I'm gonna fold it the other way around, which I'm gonna show you then, and then we're gonna sew the legs. So let's get the sewing machine here, see which kind of yarn I can use, and let's get going. So this still has the white yarn in there from when I sewed all the cushions. Let's see what else I have. Maybe like a black is the safest way to go. And this wonderful little vintage elastic that my grandma bought. So I'm definitely gonna use some of that later. I love using up her stuff. I think that's so cool. Look at that! That's perfect. All right, I'm gonna go with this. I feel like that's a perfect color match. So let me get all set up and then we'll get started.
I know you so well, a love like dominoes, covered head to toe, yet concealed. Got me with your spell, a fortune leading fame. You've helped me see the way to wield time. Just because you know my name does not mean the same.
Okay, now that gave me the general shape of my shorts. So excited. And now it is time to sew the crotch area. So I'm taking out all of the pins that I have because it's holding itself in place now. I love how when you sew at one point everything comes together. So now we kind of have to open it like this. You see, it's starting to look, I mean, with a lot of imagination, it's starting to look like pants. Because now you have to actually sew those legs like this. So I'm gonna pin these, then sew them, and then trim the edges, use a zigzag stitch on that, and then it is time to do the legs, and then we're gonna end it with a nice little elastic on top. Now when doing this, I find it quite helpful to like make a little cut here, just to about where you wanna sew, because it just makes it easier to kind of work with the fabric. I'm just cutting another little bit off here so that I have some room down there. Then it is time to lay this flat and pin it. I was so excited. I just tried these on and they work. I sewed a functional pair of shorts for the first time and I'm so proud. So I'm gonna trim down all the excess fabric that I have here, and I'm just gonna use a zigzag to make all the seams really pretty. And then I think it is time to decide, I mean, I have decided on the length, so then I'm gonna do that. And then the elastic. I am honestly so proud. I didn't think I was capable of doing this.
Sprouting out below, and soon you'll show how much
Ta-da! Okay, that was it for the cleanup of the seams. Let's see how short, I've already marked how short I want them. So I think I'll just fold them twice, get them marked how I like them. Because I really like the length of the other one, so I think I'm just gonna go with that one. And then add a nice little hem here too. Now it's good that I marked everything. For a moment I thought that all the marking wouldn't have any purpose, but here we are, and I'm really glad that I did it. Also, my husband's currently picking up my son from daycare, and later we're gonna go to my in-laws' house because they have like a little pond pool thing, and it's the best place to spend the hot summer days. That and our local pool, which we also go to at least every other day. We're basically somewhere by the water every afternoon. Okay, yep, I like that. Is that about the same inseam as this one? Because this is what I marked. Now let's check. Yep, that pretty much comes out to the same thing. So let me pin that. I want to do the double fold because it does add a little bit of weight to the hem, which is something that I find makes it like nicer to wear. I just like it when fabric, even like lighter garment pieces, when they do have some weight to it, and I think a hem is always nice if it is a little heavier. So I have the hemline for the leg all in place, and I'm gonna sew along the upper side right here, like the upper fold, to create a nice little seam. And I'm gonna do that on both legs, obviously. So this might not be the most groundbreaking sewing tip, and it might be common knowledge, but you can, with most sewing machines, take this part off, and especially when you're working on legs or arms, that helps, because now you can just kind of like, oops, that was a needle. You can just kind of like pull that over here. You have a little more room. And I'm also starting all the seams, because you're gonna have like an overlap where you're gonna connect the seams. I'm always starting it on that part that's gonna be the inside of my thigh, because that is the part of the pant that usually no one sees. I don't think you understand how excited I am for this to come together. So I finished the hem on the pant part. It's still very shapeless, but don't worry, we're gonna work on the elastic right now. So to create the like piece where the elastic goes in, you need to sew a regular waist and then leave like a little part open. So I already measured that. I just tried it on and looked if I like the length and everything, and it is perfect. And I like the rise like this, so I'm gonna sew this. Once again, I'm gonna sew on this side and not right here, so that I have like essentially this up here, so that I can put my elastic in there then. So I'm gonna do that, and I marked where I want the back to be, and the part where I want the back to be, I'm gonna leave a little bit open. So I'm not gonna go fully around, I'm just gonna leave like a couple centimeters open, because I need something to loop my elastic through. But I'm gonna sew that, then measure the elastic, and then share a phenomenal trick with you that I also learned from my great-grandfather on how to get elastic through garments, because that can be quite the pain to deal with. Okay, time for a little update. This is what I'm currently working with. I still have some room in here, but I intentionally made it bigger as said, because first of all, you want to get it over your hips, and then secondly, I wanted to have the extra room for the bump. And now it is time to figure out the elastic. Oh, I love it. The inseam is perfect for me. I have shorter shorts, but with this kind of style, I really like the longer inseam. So as shown earlier, I have this from my grandma. And if you buy an elastic, go to the fabric store because you need one that is safe to be washed. Like I'm making these so that I can throw them in the washing machine later. And this one is good until 95 degrees, which is like almost boiling, which is great. So I'm just gonna take the elastic, wrap it around me, and see what I like so that it is nice and tight, but not too tight. And then I don't have that issue right now because my bump is bigger than my hips. But when you do this and you're not pregnant, make sure that you can take off the elastic like over your hips, because otherwise this is not gonna work. Yeah, I think I like that length, maybe a little more so that it's comfy. I always add like a little something extra because you're gonna tie a knot in the end and you don't want that to be too tight then. I'm gonna go with this amount of elastic. I'm gonna cut it and then I'll show you that incredible threading hack from my great-grandfather. I love how my grandma bought 2 of these, which is 20 meters in total, because I would be the same because I have no idea how much you need, but you can see here, like I'm making a maternity piece. And this is all the elastic that I need for that. So if you buy elastic, it'll last you for basically ever. And now I am looking for a safety pin. The bigger, the better in this case. Let's see. Oh, look at this. It's her little thimble, and this is so pretty. It has panda bears. That's a cool one. And then this, which maybe my stepmom, I need to ask her, but this looks like a school project. Okay, let's see. Is there a safety pin in here? Yes. There are also some, wow, some crochet hooks and some knitting needles, which these might, oh, it's 4, yes. So the school that I went to, I don't know if I've told you this before, I went to an all-girls Catholic school and I learned all the things there, like sewing and crocheting and knitting, all of that. And we once made socks. That's why I know that you need the 4 needles for a pair of socks. But I'm thinking about, I see people wear these like little knitted scarves that are so cute. I kind of want to make one, so maybe that'll be my next craft project, because I'm currently making, I'm making these pants right now, but my actual current crafting project is a poncho I'm making for my son, but I'm almost done with that. Yeah, these are more sewing needles, but I found a couple of really good large safety pins. So you want to use the largest one you can find. This might be the largest that I've ever seen, but you have to make sure first that it fits through the loop that you've sewn. So let's see. And then you just spike it through like one part here. And then you use another safety pin so that you don't have to hold it. And I like to attach this right by where I start or end, depending on which way you want to do. And now you have this little piece with 2 safety pins, one attached to the pants. And now I'm just gonna push that through. And because you have like the metal, it's so much easier to actually push this through because you have something sturdy to hold on to. So I'm gonna do that. Just going all the way around the sides. I made it through. The safety pin came out on the other side again. And now I'm gonna loosen this safety pin. But I'm gonna keep them on because if you accidentally let go, you'll need to start all over again. But if you have something big, then it's not gonna slip that easily through. So I'm just gonna tie a knot here. I'm gonna make sure it is nice and secured. I know that some people like to sew the elastic shut, But for me, that hasn't always worked the best, so I just like to go with a couple of knots. As soon as the knot is done, you can unpin the safety pins. That big one really made this so much easier. I swear, grandmas always have like the best sewing stuff. Okay, and now you can already kind of see where we're headed here. So I'm just gonna tie a knot beneath it just to make sure it's nice and secure, and then I'm gonna cut off a little more of the excess and then add the seam to finally close this. Just gonna go over that little area here once again. Make sure that it is nice and flat while doing that. And then I only have one more little thing that I want to do, and then I'm done. Cannot believe it. I mean, I've been working on this for like 3 hours now, but for some reason that seems short for what I've created. I am so excited right now, look at it! They're done, they're perfect. I know they don't have pockets and this isn't like the most elaborate way to sew shorts, but these are perfect for pregnancy, and they're also going to be perfect for afterwards. I'm going to see, maybe I have to tailor them a little bit afterwards, because maybe the elastic is just going to be a little loose. We'll see, but I really love them. Now you could leave them like this, but I kind of want to add a special little detail. I want to add an apple applique, because that just kind of like seems like a fun thing to do. I'm just not too sure whether I want to add it in the front or in the back, so I'm going to draw it, cut it, and maybe pin it to both sides so that I can see what I like.
You are a flower girl, I can't tell apart, but I'd pick you either way.
Alright, I cut the apple and kind of like pinned it, but I cannot decide. Do we like it in the back, then it kind of looks like this? Or let me change and I'll show you what it looks like in the front. Or do we prefer the front? I am so indecisive. I feel like I would like the front more, but it's kind of throwing me off how it is sitting because of the bump. Do I like the front? I need to go to the mirror, hold up. After going back and forth for like a million times, I think I'm gonna go with the back. I can always attach another one to the front. So let me show you the best way to add something like this onto a pair of pants if you don't have like any special sewing supplies or anything, because I only have that one sewing machine that I've showed you in the beginning. I swear, grandparents always have the best stuff, because look at that color match. These threads are absolutely perfect. So at first I'm gonna remove the green part, because we're gonna start with the big red part and then we're gonna add the stem and the little leaf later. Now you're gonna want to choose a stitch that kind of looks like the AJ421 that I have here. So basically something that does 2 stitches across from each other with a very short distance in the middle. It is unfortunately a little hard to see from this angle, but basically what you're aiming for is 1 stitch on the patch and then 1 stitch on the pant so that it connects the 2, and that will also prevent it from having the edges fray. However, looking back, I think it is easier if you have a flimsier fabric like I'm using here, if you apply that to like a sturdier fabric first. So I think looking back, that would have made it a lot easier.
But I will wait, forever wait. I'll wait as long as you would like. I'll stay with you all through the night. You show me wrong and show me right as rain. I will wait, forever wait with you. Through the winter, hanging on, we can weather.
Alright dolls, I'm at my in-laws house. I'm about to jump into the pool. I just wanted to show you how the shorts turned out. I love them. Unfortunately, I went out of the red thread as I was applying that, so I think I might have to go over it because I did a piece by hand and you can probably see it, so I might have to redo that. But I really love how they turned out. I feel like this is such a fun and easy way to sew your own shorts. This is perfect for like a 60s look, and I'm very much contemplating getting more fabric, like even lighter fabric, linen or something, and sewing myself a couple more pairs because I really love how these turned out. But yeah, that brings me to the end of today's video. Let me know what you think. If you like this, if you want to see me sew more things, and then also if you're trying these, if you are making your own shorts, post a picture on Instagram or send me a picture. I would love to see it. This was such a fun and easy way, and I absolutely adore how it turned out. If you want shorts like this, I'm gonna link the Belated Beatnik website down below for you. You can get these gingham shorts that I showed you and a couple other styles, and maybe that is something that you would like to have, because without Coco from the Belated Beatnik, I wouldn't have been able to sew these, so thank you once again so much. She also made this cute little top that I love. It came with a set. Like, I always wear this with the gingham shorts because I think it's such a sweet style. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I would love you to give it a thumbs up and maybe even share it with a friend. It supports me, it supports the channel, and it would truly mean the world. If you want to see more videos all about the 60s and 70s, consider subscribing, stick around, I would love to have you here. I hope you have a beautiful day, go out, enjoy the sunshine, or get in the shade, jump into a pool. It is so incredibly hot here. Middle of a heat wave, 35 degrees, and I need to go and cool off now. Take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, dolls!